You're listening to the Water Cooler Edit with Chris and Rich.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Water Cooler Edit with my Bayut, joined by myself, Eman and Richard.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fine, how are you?
I'm good. It's great to be back.
Yes, it's good to be back. So after Eid, after the flood, after the storm, after coming back to work after so long.
The four storms, actually. Four storms.
okay.
You know that the storm. Well, I think we all know the storm. It was actually four storms, but really, really close together, apparently. So it was just like one after the other, which all pretty much came together to make, the mega storm, But it was actually four individual storms.
Interesting.
It's kind of interesting, yeah.
But yeah, apart from the storms, we have a lot of stuff coming up for you on this episode. We're going to be talking about the new RERA calculator. We're going to be talking about the by transactions, and then we'll see if we can throw some fun in there. So stay tuned. We're going to take a slightly, I think, different approach to this week's episode, mainly because I think we've been talking a lot about things that you can do in the UAE, places that you can explore, what you can do for Ramadan, for Eid, etc. And now that summer's upon us, this is a really popular time that people use to move, right? You either are on vacation or maybe your kid's school is just finishing up. So I think something that's interesting is that what a lot of people do is that they kind of use this time to maybe look for other options or decide, this is not for me, I'm going to renew where I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's that time of year, isn't it? I think it does kind of play into the whole, very much the school year, basically, isn't it? The schools are breaking up, so ahead of the new year starting, maybe your kids changing school, whatever. It is the kind of, apart from the excessive heat, maybe the ideal time of year to move from a logistical perspective. So people are hunting for what's out there.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is also that the RERA calculator has been recalibrated, right?
Yep.
And that's basically what decides how much your rent can actually be increased each year. And they've completely revamped it now. So before, it used to be quite, I would say, minimal. Mm-hmm. But now it can go up to, say, 20%.
It can indeed, yes. I think they recalibrated it on March the 1st this year. Obviously in line with the rent increases we've seen pretty much across the board over the last couple of years. I mean, there are some estimations that on average rents went up around about 27%. 2 years ago, and then
19% this year.
19% in the year just gone. So that's pretty considerable. And obviously now the RERA calculator is reflecting those increases.
Yeah, because it makes sense. The government would want to regulate this, right?
Yeah,
because not everybody wants their rent to go up so drastically. And so everybody was releasing headlines like, oh my God, your rent is going to go up 20%. And even I was like, oh my God, is my rent going up 20%?
I did it. Did you do the calculator thing?
I did the calculator. And then I realized that they say 20%, but there are certain conditions that need to be met for all of those. Mm-hmm. So obviously it starts off with if your property is 10% below the market rate.
For that specific
area. Then no increase is allowed. So then you're fine. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty lenient as well because you're 10% below the market value for that specific area.
Yeah,
right?
I completely agree.
But say if you're between 11% and 20%, then your landlord is allowed to increase it by 5%. And then it continues like that. For example, if you're below 21% and 30%, it can go up. Then 10 and then 15. And then in the end, only if it's 31% and 40%, like if you're actually paying almost half below market value, can it go up by 20%? So it's really not that scary the way people are making it sound.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I think the percentages sound scary from an increased perspective, but when you compare to the percentages for how low you are for the average of the specific area, then it kind of takes the sting off a tad.
Yeah, a tad. And I think the other thing that's interesting is that they had this other stipulation listed that anything above 20% can be decided between the landlord and the tenant privately, which made me understand, wow, if you are actually that means that landlords could increase it, but that's a private dealing that's taking place, not with the government really involved, because the cap is only so much, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. But they have capped it officially at 20% for landlords, regardless.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, well, look, I mean, I think that's interesting. I think a lot of this stuff comes down to personal circumstances, but also comes down to the relationship you have with the landlord, how long you've been in the property. You know, some people, I can speak from personal experience that we've been in the same property for a number of years. We've got a really good relationship with the landlord. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. And therefore that helps a lot when it comes around to negotiation time, right?
It shows that you've been a good tenant, that you are somebody that is reliable and trustworthy and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think
From
what you
both
said about-
sides, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think about personal circumstances is really interesting because in Dubai, you have so many buildings or units or villas being delivered constantly. So if you feel like, okay, you know what, now is the time to move, you could move to, say, a newer community. Maybe they don't have as many amenities or they aren't as fully developed, but that'll happen in time. Or other circumstances could change, like your kid's school, where you work, all of those kind of things, and what your priority is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, and it depends on obviously if your family is growing as well or if you want more space, right? The longer you've been in a unit, the more sort of items you kind of accumulate.
Oh, yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
And you might need more space for that. Or you might come up with a hobby or a
Or some life laundry.
Oh, yeah, or that, of course. And things like that. And that's really interesting because for me, obviously we work for a property portal. We work in the industry. And, you know, a lot of times I have a lot of people reaching out to me for help and for advice over what they should be doing. And a lot of times I'm able to give that advice and I'm able to say, you know what, these are the sort of benchmarkings that you should look at. This is what properties are advertised on. You can easily check on Bayut what people are listing similar units for. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But at the same time, whenever I tell them, you know, this is what the actual transaction price is for a rental unit or a sale unit or an off-plan unit, they're like, okay, how do you have this information? And I'm like, it's not through me. I'm not procuring this from
It's not coming
somewhere.
through to me on WhatsApp, you know.
But basically, because Bayut has an MOU with DLD, which is the Dubai Land Department, we actually take all of the data that they have and we clean it up and we put it into Dubai transactions, right?
Yeah.
So if we specifically talk about the rental market, you can actually take a look at what prices actual people are renting for in that specific building for that specific unit even.
Yeah.
And you can check if it's a renewal or you can check if it's, you know, a new rental agreement.
It genuinely surprises people outside of the industry that this data is publicly available, right? I've spoken to some people recently who are looking at potentially buying after having rented for a number of years. And when I said to them, well, you can obviously, if you use the Dubai transactions tool on Bayut, you can see how much is being paid for properties. You can see how much people are renting for, even around you. You can, like in the same building as you, whatever.
Exactly.
You know,
it just gives you an understanding of the market, right? It makes
Yeah.
you understand. Even if you're thinking about potential areas, you could be like, okay, through history, you know, how was it maybe in a previous year? Just to get an understanding, okay, how much have rents or have prices risen?
Yeah, how much are they fluctuating down, well, doubtful they'd be fluctuating down, guys, unfortunately. It's most probably fluctuating up. But yeah, you can, all that stuff is there, right? It's an awesome tool.
Yeah, and they have MapView on there as well. So MapView is something that I just personally like across. I like using it on the Bayut listings. I like using it on transactions. Anything with a map, I'm like, yes. Because
you love a bit of map action. What's it called? Somethingography.
Cartography.
Is that what it's called? Cartography? Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Massive. That brain cells died there for me. That used to hold that piece of information. Cartography. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. You're going to have a house lined with old maps.
No, it's fine. I meant like just to visualize like for the property market, because for me, I'm very area based. I want to be close to the city. I want to be close to specific areas. So for me to get an understanding of, okay, fine, if I live here or if I live there, this is how much the price difference is going to be.
Yeah.
And then within those specific areas, what are the sort of like fluctuations? Because obviously, if you live closer to the entry exit, it's going to be more expensive because you have that ease of connectivity. But if you live, say, you know, somewhere in the middle of the city, or if you live close to the metro, that's also going to drive the price up because
Absolutely,
it's public transport, right? So for all of those sort of things, I prefer using a map. And I think specifically for me, when I'm speaking to the older generation, which is my parents, it's a lot easier for them to visualize that than it is to take a look at like raw data.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So for them, when they see all of this, they're like, okay, what does all of this stuff mean? You put it into a map, it's easier for them to understand.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just you just got the area names or the building names or what have you.
And they might not be so familiar with what that specifically means until we actually visit them.
Yeah.
So while we're doing research, it's easier for me to show it this way.
Actually, you can just show them on the map. This is exactly where it is. It works. It works. You know.
So yeah, my recommendation would definitely be if your landlord has increased your rent drastically. Definitely make sure to do your research on the RERA calculator, on all of the sort of resources that the Dubai Land Department provides. Take a look at Dubai transactions, learn more about the market, understand, research, and kind of make a case for yourself.
Yeah, and your rights as a tenant.
As a tenant, of course, yeah. So just educate yourself, I think, and kind of be mindful of all of these sort of rules and regulations that you need to keep in mind.
We should say as well that we have articles
on my Bayut for all of this.
All of these subjects on Dubai transactions, on the RERA calculator, on your rights, landlord rights, tenant rights. Every subject you could possibly imagine around property and moving properties and what have you is on there. So it's well worth checking it out.
That's the end of this segment. That's the end of this bit. Richard, do you want to start off with the slightly fun stuff? I think you've experienced something recently that you wanted to share with everyone.
Yeah, let's talk about pups.
Okay.
To broaden it out a tad. In general, I think Dubai and the other Emirates in recent years have become more dog friendly than maybe they were in the past, right? So, and I just really wanted to give like some examples of that. Obviously, we know now there's dog-friendly restaurants, there's
dog-friendly hotels, beaches. There are a few parks as well.
There are indeed, yes. There's one called the Bark Park.
Yes.
Which I know it's simplistic, but I think it's the most fabulous name ever. The Bark Park.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. Recently, we took Snowy, our dog, a name shamelessly stolen from the Tintin comics, but went down to West Palm Beach on the Palm, right?
Palm as a whole is very dog friendly.
It is indeed, yes. It's the first time I've been to West Palm Beach. Actually, it's kind of a cool place. And we went to the whole of West Palm Beach is dog friendly.
Yes. I believe it opened in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So the way that it works is that West Palm Beach has a lot of these sort of restaurants and places that you can visit. It has a beach as well.
It does indeed.
And then it also has a private beach for tenants and residents of specific buildings.
And there's some beach clubs down there as well, isn't there? And there's some hotels on the front. So the restaurant we went to was attached to the Marriott. It was called Senor Pico's, right? And you can actually pay for to have a beach pass if you go earlier in the day. And you can obviously take your dog down on the beach. They've got like volleyball. I didn't play volleyball because that's far too much effort for me. But like there were people playing volleyball. I was just watching, eating unhealthy stuff. But it was really nice to take Snowy down there. We didn't have a beach pass. We were just at the restaurant at one of the outside tables.
They do allow. You don't need a beach pass
exactly.
go to the beach specifically.
Yeah, no, this is it, right? So
it's only if you want to access some of the facilities that they have, like the sunbed and the lounges.
Lounges and stuff, right? Snowy absolutely loved it. They bring water out for the dogs. There's shaded areas as well. I still wouldn't recommend going down there in August with your dog because your dog might explode.
True.
But there are shaded areas. They bought little toys for the dogs as well.
Cute. Some places even have like a dog treats type of menu, so you can buy like a dog
like puppuccino.
A puppuccino, yes.
Yeah, and stuff like that. Yeah, puppuccino and things. So.
And there are like ice lollies and things like that you can like give them as treats. I thought that's very cute.
That is really cute.
I'm not a dog owner, dog person.
But we established before the show that I'm going to buy you a puppy, didn't we? The cutest puppy in the world. I'm going to get you and call it Odie. That was Odie from Garfield. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, no. So I was really, really impressed with West Palm Beach, and we walked Snowy kind of along the promenade there as well. It was just nice. There was obviously other dogs around and stuff. We had her on the leash and that, but it's just really nice. It was a nice place to go, and I think that's kind of indicative of the more dog friendliness that we're seeing throughout Dubai and the other Emirates. You were saying there's a few places you've been to.
There's a few places that I've been, but I think in general, there are quite a few areas that are known to be dog friendly as well, right? Obviously, you have the Palm, you have Marina, you have downtown. Business Bay is very popular as well, but there are so many other areas and other
DIP,
places.
where I live, there's on the green community. There's, well, it is. There's no getting away from it. It is pet friendly.
Even in my area, you have a lot of dogs. My building, I think it was not pet friendly until last year, and then they did allow dogs. And then whenever I'd get into the elevator, I'd be like, "Is this the day? Is this the day?" And
then you got in one day, and there was one person with 7 dogs.
Thank God, no. Whenever there is a dog in the elevator, I don't get on.
No.
Or if it comes in, I get off.
Screaming.
That's kind of fairly accurate. But there are quite a few places. So I had been to the Lime Tree Cafe over Eid, and that's known to be very popular. The branch in Jumeirah is known to be very popular.
Is that on the beach road?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
With dog owners. Then there are so many places in Al Sarkal that are dog friendly. There's also the 25 Hours Hotel, which I recently found out is dog friendly. So you can actually stay at the hotel with your dog.
That's fantastic.
There is
as you can at the
Radisson Red in Dubai Silicon Oasis.
And a bit further out, the Hatta Fort.
Hatta Fort, yes.
Fort Hotel, and there's obviously a lot of area around there for outdoor activities and all that for the dogs to enjoy. So,
but for me, this was the first time actually hearing that you could stay with your dog. So that's not, because I think Ras Al Khaimah is very dog friendly. A lot of the other Emirates are known to be,
especially the beaches in Ras Al Khaimah.
The beaches in Ras Al Khaimah and things like that. This was the first time when I'd visited that. Oh, you can actually stay with your dog at a hotel in Dubai. And actually, the newly opened Dubai Islands beach, which is also tied to the Santara Mirage Resort, that's at Dubai Islands, which is Dera Islands.
Yeah, it used to be the artist formerly known as Dera Islands.
All of that is also dog friendly, so you can stay with your dog over there as well.
So you can go on a staycation for you and the pup.
Yeah, exactly. So, because I know a lot of people would complain about having to
leave the kids at home, just go away with the pup. No, I joke.
Not the kids, but actually, like,
the whole family. The whole family.
Exactly. But a lot of people used to complain about the fact that they'd have to make other arrangements for their dog when they're going for staycations and things like that.
100%.
But it's good to see that we have these kind of options as well.
Yeah, I think it's good, because I think it's also the way the world's going. I mean, there's more airlines now that you can fly with your dog. KLM, I think, is one of the major ones. I think Etihad as well in certain routes. I thought they did, maybe not. Check on my Bayut for that. But yeah, look, I think it's nice, and for dog owners and stuff, it's really nice to be able to have more places to take the pup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like Richard said, there are all these articles on My Bayut for you to check out. So if you want to know about the best, kind of dog groomers, if you want to know about the best dog parks, the best dog beaches,
doggy
daycare options, the best restaurants that are dog friendly, all of that information
100%
is on there. I've seen it myself. I've not browsed it because actually I probably should.
You'll have to browse it, because you've got to remember that puppy coming.
No, Richard. No. Respectfully, no.
I'll get you one of those like bobblehead things.
No, no.
What, you don't like bobbleheads?
No.
Right, because where the head goes shaped like that. Yeah. I'll get your puppy one of those.
No need. I'm fine.
I'll get you Doug from Up.
Also no need.
Brilliant.
And that brings us to the end for this episode. So as we've said before, if you want any information about anything that we've discussed today, whether it's the RERA calculator, how to actually go about and learn more about the market, how to browse the Dubai transactions, and what's the best sort of data points that you can utilize, or anything related to dog-friendly places in the UAE, make sure to check out My Bayut for that. And we will catch you in the next one.
Cheers, guys.
You're listening to the Water Cooler Edit with Chris and Rich.